Hi, this is Todd Lohenry, and I put together a few thoughts that I want to share with you about which version of WordPress should I choose. When it comes to web platforms, in many ways the answer is WordPress. And now, what is your question? WordPress powers almost 25% of the world's websites as of January of this year. The most recent version that was released, 4.1, was downloaded almost 10 million times in 1 month. That points to a very active user base. And a community like this means that solutions are abundant, resources are readily available, and you can find a lot of answers for any issues that you have with WordPress. But what a lot of people don't realize is that there are technically 4 different versions of WordPress: WordPress.com, WordPress.org, WordPress multisite, and the last, WordPress VIP. So I want to talk you through a couple of different issues around features. And most often, people talk about WordPress.com or WordPress.org. WordPress.com is the version that is hosted by WordPress. It is a freemium solution, meaning that you can start a blog for free, but you can go to the WordPress store and add additional features. WordPress.org is what is referred to as the self-hosted version. And for that, you need to purchase a hosting plan, which may cost you approximately $5 a month or $50 for the year if you're able to get some kind of deal for prepayment. And I'm going to talk about the two and show you a couple of different examples of what it is that I mean. So, WordPress.com. This is my WordPress.com blog. I use this primarily to take advantage of the features of WordPress.com and to be able to attach the blog to my business domain. So I actually use both WordPress.com and WordPress.org, which is a little bit of an atypical approach, but by the end of this, you may understand a little bit better why. This is my self-hosted version. On the surface, if you take a look at the blog, they probably don't look all that different. However, there are many differences, and I'm going to talk with you about them as we go on. The next version, I'll come back to this in a moment, is WordPress multisite. And WordPress multisite is a version of WordPress.org that is actually built for organizations that need multiple websites. I'll show you an example of this. I recently did a project for a company called Vital Work Life, and their website is actually made up of multiple websites. One that is a parent website, but, for example, there is a separate child website for their consultants. So one of the advantages of WordPress multisite is being able to have multiple sites with the same look and feel or plugins, but to be able to manage it from one central place. This would be a good solution for someone who has multiple businesses, like a restaurant that I work with in Algoma. Multiple restaurants under one parent domain. WordPress multisite is a very different animal, and I strongly encourage you to research before you decide that you need WordPress multisite. There are very few consultants that have dealt with it and are used to or understand the both the pros and the cons of using that solution. The last version is WordPress VIP. Most of us don't even need to be concerned about this particular solution. It's a very high-end product that costs thousands of dollars a month, and it usually is a collaboration, between, and I've lost my way here. Here we go. Between WordPress and the company. One of the examples that I know of is GigaOM, and another one that I just came across over the weekend is the New York Post. These are WordPress VIP solutions. They have some features that just aren't available unless you pay thousands of dollars a month. Fortunately, most of us don't need to worry about that. We can meet our needs with WordPress.com or WordPress.org or maybe WordPress multisite. So a couple of different differences. For example, number one, in WordPress.com, there is what's called a reader. And in the reader, you can set up different topics that you're interested in. So for example, in my reader, I have all kinds of different topics that I follow, mostly related to marketing, sales, technology, and productivity. So I can go, for example, into the productivity tab. And what WordPress.com is going to do is going to show me all kinds of bloggers that are producing content on this topic. And I can flip through here with keyboard shortcuts. And I can find lots of interesting content. I can follow a blogger. I can like their content. I can comment on it, or I can reblog. And when I reblog, what I can do is say, so I write some kind of comment and I make sure that I send it to the right blog, and then I select reblog post. So when this content is actually reblogged, I'll go back to my blogging page and I'll show you what this looks like. Be there in just a second. There probably was a faster way to get here, but it's Monday morning. So now if you take a look on my homepage, what I was able to do was to capture the content from Max Hemingway. And when I reblog, it grabs an image, it grabs the title of the post, and it grabs my comment and the first couple of paragraphs of Max's article. Oop, scroll back. Okay. And if people want to go and read the rest of it, they can. This reblogging feature, the reader feature and the reblogging feature, so reader and reblogging, are the only one, or excuse me, are only available in WordPress.com. The Jetpack plugin for WordPress.org has made many WordPress.com features available, but these two features are only available in WordPress.com. So if you like those features, being able to follow other bloggers and topics and quickly and easily comment on their content in your blog, then you definitely want to have a WordPress.com blog. Now, another feature is with every WordPress.com blog, and again, this is WordPress.com only, you can get a special number, call in and leave a voicemail message, and
This is the test audio post.
whatever it is that you leave in the message will automatically be posted as a blog post to your blog. So that might be a feature that you find interesting. Some people prefer typing or talking instead of typing. I'm definitely one of them. However, if you're one of those people that doesn't want to video blog, audio blogging might be interesting for you. Again, this is a feature that's only available in WordPress.com. Now, if I go to the WordPress.com store, and in order to do that, I want to go into WP admin. And I go into the store. As I said, this is a freemium application. It starts out free, but you have the opportunity to buy all kinds of different things. For $13 a year, you can map a domain that you own to this blog. You can get more space. You can purchase a premium theme. You can get a business version or an enterprise version for a economical cost if you consider, like for example, in WordPress.com, you actually, WordPress.com business, this is the only way that I have ever heard of that you are able to add, or sorry, to get technical support directly from WordPress.com. And they give you many different features that go along with that. Okay, so in the WordPress.com store, you can purchase many different options to upgrade WordPress.com. However, one of the things that concerns me is the limitations, and there is no support, excuse me, for JavaScript, iframe, etc. So for example, if you wanted to, as I have here, hold on one second, let me refresh this. Here in the upper right hand corner, there is a little JavaScript widget in my sidebar, and I can do that in the self-hosted version of WordPress, WordPress.org, but I cannot do it in WordPress.com. So there are some times when JavaScript is just not, it's necessary, but it's not available in WordPress.com. And that can be a problem. You can't incorporate content from just anywhere in WordPress.com. So, going back, the summary is that this is easy. WordPress.com is easy, and in some ways it's more powerful than WordPress.org. But it is limited because of the support for JavaScript and iframes, etc. Okay, now let's go to WordPress.org. And one of the things that you'll find is that with WordPress.com, you are limited to any of the 200 or 300 or so themes that WordPress.com offers, but in WordPress.org, you can add any theme that you would like. So all you need to do is go to Appearance and Themes and Add Themes. and you can pick from hundreds of thousands of different themes that you might want to add to your website. The same things with plugins. WordPress.org supports plugins that you can add. Plugins are think of it as being kind of a micro application that adds functionality to the website. And you can add any plugins. Now, I say many times when I'm talking to people about WordPress that the great thing about WordPress.org is that you can add plugins. And the bad thing about WordPress.org is that you can add plugins. A poorly crafted plugin can be the death of a website. So you want to very carefully pick and choose before you add a plugin to your website. So plugins, Jetpack is a particular plugin that adds a lot of WordPress.com features to WordPress.org. Another great thing about WordPress.org is that it's standards compliant. And so, for example, I can incorporate JavaScript and iframes. So if I want to incorporate, for example, if my goal is to monetize a website, then one of the things that I'm going to want to make sure is that I'm using the self-hosted version of WordPress. Because, for example, the Amazon.com store uses an iframe in order to be incorporated seamlessly into the site. And so if you want to be able to do this kind of thing, then you definitely need to be using the self-hosted version of WordPress. So in conclusion, WordPress.org or the self-hosted version is more complex, but it is flexible and powerful. So this leads us to the question, should I use .com or .org? And in my particular scenario, the answer is yes. I have, for example, go back to the WordPress.com website. I pay $13 a year to WordPress to be able to map this to a subdomain called blog, so that WordPress.com and WordPress.org are working together in my internet presence, and I can use the best features of both in order to build my brand. So if you like this kind of practical, tactical instruction around social media and internet marketing, I encourage you to connect with me at toddlohenry.com, where you find information like this, as well as many more insights in how to make this work for you. Thanks for spending this time with me.